Hi, Mishka.
Hi.
I love
Hi.
how there is just a different energy with every single person that I talk to. I love, love, love that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was just looking at the unicorns that I have here. They're pink, and they connect me to a kind of playful energy. So I'm like, okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's play, I say. Let's do this.
Yeah.
How's your day going? You are in Slovakia at the moment, so it's morning.
Yes. It's good. Just chilled out, having my coffee, waking
Oh,
up to this. So that's good.
beautiful. What's ahead of you today?
Today, it's going to be more kind of like chilled out and more creative process. I don't have actually planned for today. Because I had super busy days the last 2 days, so I like to kind of like switch it off and go spontaneous, like, because when I have like too many things going on, I'm like, I need to chill out, and then it just like unfolds as itself. So we'll see what what kind of
Mm,
surprises will come up today. Yeah.
beautiful. Sounds like flow to me. You're already getting ahead of the conversation for today. I love this. I don't even need to ask you questions. Just opens. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to talk and talk publicly as well. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Pleasure. I'd love to introduce you a little bit. And I was thinking about this, like, how do I introduce you? Because you are yet another multi-dimensional person who's got so many talents and interests and, you know, is involved in so many things. So I met you back in London when you were studying. You were
Mhm.
studying film. Was it film production or?
Television production, but we had a little bit of film in it, so it
Mhm.
was called before film as well. But yeah, official is TV.
Beautiful. So I always saw you as this like massively, and you are a creative person and an artist, which has been
Yeah,
really, really awesome. And we have worked on some projects together too.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good time.
great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but it's just been amazing seeing you grow over the past few years. And lately, you have actually founded a company together with your brother who is autistic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you're at the moment you're the founder of Happy Autism, and it's just absolutely wonderful. You know, every single conversation that we have together and having seen you grow and now pour your passion and the love and the light and co-create with your brother who's a beautiful soul as well. um yeah, so I don't want to put labels on who you are. I just wanted to kind of create some kind of a backstory here. How does that feel? Have I forgotten anything that you would like to mention for people to get to know you a bit?
Um, yeah, well, I think that's it. It's just like, it's good that you say, it sounds like so strange for me when you say today I founded a company called Happy Autism, because I'm like, I need to register this underneath. Because I'm just like, because it really came naturally, and it's about the mission behind that. And I wasn't even thinking about it
Mm,
this way. So even like, I was thinking about it in the past week. So actually, was researching that. So yeah, I'm like the business owner, and my brother is not really an employee, but it's really interesting thing. He's my creative director, as I call him. But it's an interesting concept because it's teaching someone that is nonverbal and is autistic about entrepreneurship and establishing himself as an independent artist, because in art and creativity there's freedom and shouldn't be limited. So yeah, it's an interesting process. Currently we're documenting it for documentary, so it's just like, yeah, so many things are happening, so I'm combining everything I know together, and it's just, yeah,
mm.
so to have an introduction, each changes each every single time, to be honest.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I can also see how you're bringing it all together. And I honestly, I can't wait for that documentary and, for any kind of work that is going to come from you to reach the world and to tell us those stories. Because, yeah, I'm a massive fan of, this piece of
Thank
work.
you.
And for me, it really touches on the idea of burnout as well, just shifting the lens and offering a different perspective around a diagnosis that we would typically associate with some kind of illness, or something's wrong with the person and they don't fit in the norm. So that's where I really see the potential of what you're doing, and you also having gone through the burnout experience, how that beautifully connects. And yes, like, let's bring to the world new way of looking at these things, because
Definitely.
yeah, we totally should do that. Wonderful. Yeah,
it's really connected. Definitely, I agree with that. So yeah, it's one big story, to be honest.
yeah.
But yeah, there are so many like negative perceptions towards like mental health, and it's like seen so negatively. So whether someone has disorder or anxiety or whatever is going through, like all these things are absolutely natural. And it's like, when you look at it from different perspective, and when you actually go through that experience, we will learn more about ourselves. And yeah, it's really, really transforming. It's really fascinating. So it's all connected, as you said.
That's precisely what I want to talk about today, because you are an amazingly aware person. And as you mentioned, as a part of that whole kind of process, you have noticed and learned lots of things. And I would love for you to take us through. So basically, our conversation today is going to be about your story of burning out, and then where that has led you to, and how did you successfully manage your life, and what are you doing at the moment. So I think that it will be really, really beautiful and beneficial for a lot of people to hear your story, with the amount of awareness that you can bring into play. So let's do this. If you're ready, let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Let's jump in.
Awesome. So, okay, tell us about your burnout story. When did it happen? What happened? Where did it happen? Who were you at the time? What did you believe in at the time?
Let's connect back to my old self. Let's call her in.
Let's bring her in.
Let's bring her in.
Yeah.
She is getting out of the ashes to come here, right? Rest in peace, old Mishka. But no, seriously, it's beautiful. It's really journey of self-acceptance and self-love for me, and self-discovery, because in the beginning, so as you said, I'm more aware now, because that really helped me to lead to freedom. But in the beginning, I wasn't, like, I was going on autopilot towards, like, so let's just like set a place where I was, right? So where it all started in terms of burnout, when I came to London in 2013, I was like extremely excited, so happy and so motivated. It was like, everyone knew me that I'm like so crazy, so happy, so motivated, so inspired, like so bubbly. And it was just wonderful. It was like I was like really thrown into a huge ocean. I was quite trying to find out how to actually swim in it, because I came to London with one of my friends from high school, but like she was going to different university, and we met at the evenings. Really, we shared a tiny room, like the tiniest room that you can imagine. We shared this in a huge house with 7 other people, with a huge family. It was very like vibrant family. So those beginnings were, say, humble, but like quite challenging, like, but it was awesome because we were like struggling so much. It was like so bad. We came, and I was struggling even studies. Like I was struggling with English, and even though I thought, I was like, oh, I've got academic certificate, blah blah blah, but like suddenly you jump into, I started studying radio production. I was the only foreigner there, to be honest, the only not native speaker, obviously, because who's not a native speaker will go and study radio production, which is all about sound and how we pronounce things and say things and accent and everything. So kind of like BBC style and all that. Anyways, so that was already challenging for me, because I had some passion. I was doing radio as a teenager. I absolutely loved that. And I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to do it. Like study it and do it as a job. So I went to study to London because I went to study to what I absolutely love and what I was doing already as a kind of curriculum outside of my high school. And I was super creative since I was 12. So I was like doing blogging and so many creative things connected to media and online media. So I was always coming up with new ways, like live streams and so on. Back in 12 years ago, I was doing live streams on Twitter. So that was cool. Which is now like absolute norm, you know. So for me, it was like I had like Saturday show. So all these things were really connected to my inner child, like really kind of like playful, joyful self. It was something that fueled my soul, especially because I grew up with my brother who's autistic, and I was taking care a lot about him. So for me to be emerged in my creativity was like something like a freedom. It was my own place. I was constantly creating something with different games and so on my own, and I loved it. I had my little own world, which was my happy world. And then when I came to London, I was like, yeah, let's explore, expand. Let's use. I wanted to use all my potential, like, because I felt like I'm limited in Slovakia. I felt like there's not much outlet for me to actually explore my creative self and pour all this energy, because I was doing so many things. I was like, well, I need to go to London, to Dream City. For me, that was a dream city because there were so many opportunities. I was like, wow, yeah. So when I came there, I was super excited, super motivated. And then like the challenges started coming, because I had to find a job to pay for all the bills. It was expensive. I was in an environment where I didn't really have my own space. And then I was going through, like, each year, I lived there for 4 years. And in each year I lived in a different space, in different house. And at the end, I actually had a little bit more of a private space, but like I did not have a private space. I was constantly sharing, and I didn't know that this environment has a huge effect on me. So I started spending more and more time at uni, locking myself in edit rooms, in the library where it was quiet, and I could like focus and just be there and have this quiet, because London is so busy and so loud. And I was not aware of who I am at the time. I was extremely motivated, extremely like hardworking and ambitious. I come from a family where I'm surrounded by these ambitious and strong women that are like leading and like the leaders, and are kind of like, I would say, led by more by masculine energy, if we can say that. Then I wasn't shown kind of like things like femininity in terms of like taking care of ourselves, right? Or like asking for help. It was like more about like go, do it all yourself, like super DIY. Like, we are living in men's world. We have to take on this like all the roles and be all roles for everyone, and you're here for everyone, and you come as a last person, because that is being selfless and that is being good person. So I felt like I was raised this way, and also I saw that in this society. I didn't see anyone like being like, oh, I'm gonna take a bath and give, self-care, or like meditate or be on my own. Like, it wasn't the case ever, because my mom was there for everyone. She's the most loving mom ever. And my grandma was also, she was super successful, and she was like giving to everyone, helping every single person. Like, and I saw that I wanted to be like her, because I wanted to help so many people. Like, that was why I go into media as well. I wanted to bring positivity and joy and make people smile, because I knew there was so much negativity in media. So I wanted to bring some inspiration and joy to people's life. So that was my intention. And then when I came to London, I was going through that, and also I had so many expectations from my family, from myself. I was like, I had so much support, and without my family I would be able to be there. So really, but I made it happen. Like, I was really happy, even though there was like challenges at the beginning. I did all the work. I got accepted. Like, as I said, I was one of the only foreigners, and my grandma was super proud, my mom too. But to leave my brother there alone with my mom was kind of like heartbreaking, because I knew that I was always there for them, and they were used to it. They were used to me being there, and going straight from home, from where school to home, and taking care of my brother. So I was already playing so many roles. I wasn't aware of them, that I was playing so many roles. For me, that was natural. Like being a caregiver / mother since I was 9 years old, I wasn't aware that I was playing this kind of mother, and a second mother energy, like role. And I felt like I'm leaving my own child. It was so strange, but I wasn't aware of it at the time, that I'm embracing it more and more. And I took parenting role from my brother's parent, because you should have two parents, not sister and, you know, like one parent. So that was the kind of thing I did subconsciously, whatever it was, a soul contract, whatever. But yeah, so in London, I felt like I'm split into worlds. Like I felt guilty for living my dreams, and I felt guilty. And when I felt trapped when I was at home, because I wanted to live my own life. So it was constant battle between these two worlds and between two parts of me, where I didn't know who I'm supposed to be, what should I do, and how can I like be happy and be there for everyone whilst being there for me. It was a huge challenge. So I felt hugely guilty for actually each time I did something. And I felt like this is my only chance to actually make all my dreams come true. So I went like, I felt like I escaped, I don't want to say like prison, but it was something that I escaped. I felt like I could finally actually, at the time, I felt like I could finally actually live my dreams and be like all that I wanted to be. So because I felt like that, because I didn't spend much time with my friends when I was with Samco, and then I did, but that was later. But I was still, you know, in that role. I was just too much in this role. But I felt like still guilty. So it was just like so many mixture of so many things. And I went like not just 100% in terms of like going for it, because I remember one of the things that one of the students told us in the beginning was like, make the most of it, because you have like one uni life, like make most of it. So I took it literally, and I was spent so much time at uni, and I used every single opportunity. Like, so I was like, would say definitely the most hardworking student from our class, and I changed to TV production because I felt happier there, and it was like, yeah, that was I could be so many roles again. So I was already so many roles in my life as a human and in my family, and I felt like I loved playing multiple roles, and I loved doing multiple things. So because I'm very multi-passionate. So then the real life started happening, and I had to have two jobs in order to not say survive, but yeah, that is the kind of message, to survive in London. You don't even enjoy London because you're just literally going from work to school, home, sleep, shower. That's like the thing. That was the cycle. I just felt so much in it, and there was huge FOMO. This kind of fear of missing out, that there are so many opportunities, that there's so many incredible things I could be doing, and I'm not doing enough. I feel I'm not doing enough. I'm not successful enough. Whatever I do, it doesn't matter what kind of amazing successes I had or whatever amazing things I shoot. It was never enough for me. I felt like I'm chasing constantly something. It was like constant chase until I completely crashed. My body was showing signals like I had my period, my cycle was extremely like horrible. It was like the pain was, my body was actually screaming and asking me to pay attention. And I started getting ill a lot. My body was like, slow down, like you need to take a deep breath, and just like thought I could not rest. Like I tried to rest and go to Hampstead Heath, which was my zone of peace, a little bit of peace. I actually ran there in between, because it was like half an hour from my school. So I ran there, literally jumped on tube. And when I had like 2-3 hour window in between work, because I knew that I will spend a whole day at a uni. If I had 2-3 hour window, I would literally jump on tube and go to Hampstead to get out of this and just like connect. That's what my soul was craving so much. I found this place on my own because I was like looking for huge parks and woods around London. I was like, I need nature because I can't breathe. Like I need nature. I coming from Slovakia where there's so much nature. I was like, oh my god, there's just so much everything. There's so much this city. So and I started going there, but like that was when I started connected to magic that is within me. I started like enjoying small things. That was like one of the first things. I feel like it was my connection to self. It was like super, like I feel like that is the most magical place in London. And one of my friends started saying, like, you don't love London, you love Hampstead Heath. Like it's like you love that place, that is your home. I felt home there for some reason. I didn't know why. And all these tiny cafes. It was like so different, and people were so chilled out. They went there with babies and with dogs, and like it was like beautiful houses and all of that. It was like slowed down. Like people were like playing games and children running around. It was like this more playful energy. So that was one of my first places that really helped me.
Wow. Wow. That is a powerful several years in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. That is a lot. It's quite a journey. Sounds like there was a lot of build up to that point of you realizing, that things are not right and actually taking some action.
Yeah.
It almost sounds to me rather organic from, when you talk about it, like, oh, I just went there to rest for a couple of hours and discovered my magic and became more self-aware. Can you kind of connect with that moment or that process a little bit more for us to just sort of give us an idea of what were some of the really strong signals that, where was the breaking point? Like, was there a moment of realization or a conversation you had with someone, or like experiencing like an insane pain or something? It doesn't always have to be, but I'm just wondering, like, how did that look like for you to make it over that edge and then suddenly start noticing and doing things differently?
So this was just like a little, because it happened, he was like at the start, it wasn't my healing for my burnout really, because what started happening is like I could not even rest there. So it was, for me, it was still a magical place, but like my pain was still there, and the things started getting worse. It was like the fourth year in London, I think. It was like around the time when I was finishing uni, and I was like, I'm like living the safe zone, right, of uni, and I'm going to the real world. What I'm going to do? I stayed another year at uni doing internship, so I had this safety. I felt extremely safe in terms of like financially and in all these different ways. Like I just had I had moments where like I would have like had to borrow money from some neighbor to actually go to work. It's like I had £0 in my account and I had to borrow. So it was like there were so many stress factors, like so many, because I left like the security of the home, and my parents and family was like, oh, we're always there for you, if you need anything. But yes, they were supporting me, but the point is like I wanted to be independent. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be able to take care of myself. But I wasn't aware that I'm blocking it because I'm not actually taking care of myself. So I can't take care of myself if I'm not taking care of myself. But at the time I wasn't aware. I was constantly just like trying to be successful and be independent and all of that. There was constant cheats, but like that Ham Cities, like what started happening is like I started going there more and more. And I went there with one of my friends as well. And he started seeing that he started seeing me in the way that my mom didn't see me. And she was actually stopped recognizing me through when I be called, because what's happening is like even when I went to Ham City, like I had this huge pain and still pain. Like so I was like on this cycle and I had like 4 hours of huge agony, and I went there because I felt like that's going to be my healing, and I really wanted to go there. And the pain started open there. So I was like in a pharmacy. I was literally on like the floor on the street, like just like in excruciating pain. I was in a pharmacy, and I'm like, it was horrible. So even that saving place that was supposed to heal me was not helpful. I was still in huge pain, and so it started getting worse and worse and worse. And then once I went to the city center, and I was like, so I was in Soho, and I went with me one of my friends who's also Capricorn. It's funny. She was like telling me that she's going through like, she's like overworking, and it was September. I came from home, and each time I went to Slovakia, for me, so that was a different thing, because each time I went to Slovakia, it was for me kind of like a healing place. It was like, yeah, because it's slower, it's a slower pace, and I'm there with family. So for me, that was like a rest. So I would just go to extreme hard working in London, and then when I go home, it for me was rest time. However, that moment was different, because this whole month when I thought I will rest, I was like, waiting, and until that August, it was in August 2016, my grandma had an injury, so we had to take care of her and like help her at her house. So not only my mom and I were already like busy with taking care of my brother, we were also helping my mom, my grandma and my granddad. So that was like, I had zero time. It was constant chase. It was like the London, but at home. So it's like constant, like doing so many 100,000 things. And I didn't rest at all. So I went to London and I started working 2 jobs. So not resting, then thought I was going to rest. I was like, oh my God, didn't. And we went to London and started working 2 jobs. And that was the worst time in my life, I would say, because I literally, it was like, from every single point, every single corner, there was put a more load of work and more load of responsibility. I was like attracting it to me. So even at work, I got shorter contract, but my employer gave me more hours within shorter contract. So they wanted me to work for 35-hour amount of value of work within 21-hour window. And I had another job. So, and another employer gave me the biggest project ever that they had never given to anyone else before. So it was like, I was attracting a huge responsibility and a huge amount of work and huge amount of commitment at every single point in my life, for personal, for work, for every single. And I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know how to say no, because I was used to saying yes. So that was when the moment came. I started stop being motivated. For me, it wasn't play anymore. For me, it wasn't passion anymore. For me, it was duty, responsibility, and pleasing every single person, pleasing their expectations, and stretching myself so extremely outside of my boundaries. Like, I had no boundaries. I have absolutely zero boundaries at all. And so not only that pain started coming, then also it's kind of like I woke up in the morning feeling like I don't have any like reason to, not a reason, I don't any joy to live. Like I felt like, so I started having like this anxiety, panic attacks, depression, like so much darkness. I felt like there's no motivation for me at all to wake up from the bed. Like I felt like absolutely like, why am I waking up from the bed? Just to like go the same cycle. Like that was started being mental as well. So that was a thing for me, because people knew me that's such passionate and bubbly and happy person and positive, but I was hiding so much from my friends and from people, because I wasn't, back when I struggled and there was happening things in family, I never shared with any of my friends about autism and stuff like that. So I was used to not sharing things. I was used to not talking about mental health. I was used to not talking about struggles, like, because we just had to like stick through it, just go through it. Like, you don't cry, you don't do these things, like you don't, because you just have to stay strong and just go through it. Like, you just have to like, and go. There's no time to feel sorry for yourself, to cry or things like that. So that for me was like, so used to that and not paying attention, right? I was like, yeah, well, there's so I was like, basically. So yeah, that was the moment where I called my mom and she started stuff. She was like, I don't recognize you. And I started like asking myself why, like what's happening. And one moment happened, like that I shared with you already, and is that when I was in the Soho, I was completely lost. My battery died, and it was like metaphors for who I was, right? It was like reflection. My battery died. I had zero energy. I was 9 p.m. dark. I was lost in Soho, lost in my life. It was dark everywhere. And I was just like walking around after the meeting with my friend, who I thought I was going to be like joyful, but she shared the same problems with me. So we're both like, ugh, we're both like, no, nothing positive at all. Suddenly I saw like there was no one else on the street than two men. And one of them was like emanating so much positive energy, like so much light. Literally, like I thought it was like shining. I was like, oh my God, who is this person? And I was so attracted to that light. I was like, who's that? And I was like lost, and I didn't know where to go to Oxford Street Station. So I mean, also Circle Station. So I tried to find directions. So I just came to this person. I was like, whatever. I was like, I'll just ask for directions. So like walking closer, I realized that it's one of my favorite artists who inspired me actually to follow my dreams, because he was so positive, so being himself. Like he didn't limit himself for who he is, and he doesn't. Like he's just like so extra, and not extra, but he's like so joyful, and his inner child was like literally shining, and he's breaking so many boundaries, and he was inspiring me in that, because I was putting myself in a box. So when I saw him and I spoke to him, it was like super like sudden like hitting me. I was like, oh my god, I started remembering who I am, like why am I here, like what led me here. I was like, am I living a dream, or is this now, there's no longer, I'm not living a dream anymore, but this was my dream. So this person was always like kind of inspiration for me. It's like he's living his dream, you know. So when I spoke to him and connected with him, I was like, oh my god, like I started crying, like, and not because I met someone that inspired me, it wasn't a starstruck, it was more of like, oh my god, I met kind of reflection of what I missed in me, what I lost in me, this spark, this ignite, this fire. He was just emanating. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's just a cry in my, and I told my mom. She was like, what? Because she loves him too. But it was more, she was like, we started talking about, like, I started sharing with her that I lost my fire, I lost the light. And he kind of, yes, I watched, I remember straight away, like one of the interviews he did with Oprah, and was saying, I was like, yeah, well, he just, is asked for universe for magic in his life and miracles, and he took action, and he's just like trusting and like following his dreams. I was like, oh my god, like when was the last time I spoke to God? When was the last time I spoke to myself? Like what's happening? So that was a point, turning point for me, when I actually started asking questions.
Beautiful. That is so powerful. Thank you. I knew there was going to be that point. It's just, and plus having a celebrity involved, we won't mention the name.
Yeah.
That's epic. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. I had a question regarding the contributing factors to, you know, why you think you even got to burning out. But at the same time, I feel like you have answered that question, or at least partially. So maybe just to sum up, would you be able to pin them down, maybe like 2 or 3 key factors that you think, you know, in your specific case really contributed to it, or like really brought you to that place? What were the
So the key
strongest,
factor.
yeah, like the strongest sort of push or pull?
Mindset. Definitely mindset, beliefs, those beliefs,
Your beliefs.
environment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my beliefs, it's, yeah, environment is one of the things.
Right. So stressful environment. So you obviously
Yeah,
having all these demands, and then the beliefs that what?
the
What do you?
beliefs that, you know, I need to achieve things. Well, I had one of the beliefs was when that's that I realized later on. I was still in London when I realized that I was like blown away. Is that my self-worth is connected to, was, not is anymore, was connected to how many successes I have. So I
Mm-hmm.
felt like that my achievements and my successes define my worth.
Mm-hmm. And what
So
did
it was,
you, sorry, I'm just going to go another layer below that. How did you even define success and achievement?
that is a good question. Um,
Or who did that for you?
it was, I was constantly seeing my grandma as like the most successful person ever. and,
Okay.
and and I like, it's just like,
So
wow, yeah,
grandma on your shoulder every time you're
yeah,
like, is this good enough? She's like, no, try harder.
it was,
Cool.
she was there.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, my mom is completely different. Like my mom, she's like, just do what makes you happy, you know, enjoy life. So
Interesting.
she's complete opposite.
Yeah.
And she didn't follow the steps that my grandma like said. Like my grandma had dreams for a whole family, right? And she treated me, and she still says that even though I'm a grandchild, a firstborn, for her she sees me as a daughter. So she treats me like a daughter,
Yeah.
as a first daughter. She has 2 daughters, and my mom and my aunt, but like I'm like a third daughter. And because she was there when my mom was young, my mom was very young, and my grandma was actually the first one holding me and giving me a bath. It
Mm-hmm.
was my mom.
Yeah.
as a baby, I didn't like that really. I realized it later when I watched
Mhm,
it,
mhm.
'cause I
I
was
mean,
I saw
that
that.
it
But
sounds
yeah,
it sounds beautiful, definitely
yeah,
give credit for that. But I can understand that also comes with certain pressures, which in your
yeah,
case feels like it did. Right. Okay. So yeah, the
yeah,
environment in London, being in London doesn't help. And then
yeah,
having two jobs and juggling, like all these things that you talked about in terms of you trying to fit into those roles of, like live your life and realize your dreams, but also feeling even guilt around, what's going on back home with your brother, etc. And then really trying to prove yourself to
yeah,
yourself and your grandma
yeah,
and like half of
yeah.
and Instagram and everything else.
The whole
Right?
world,
We
every
all
single
do
person.
that.
Yeah, it's yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. My grandma, she's awesome. I love her, but like it came to the place when I realized, and I had many conversations with her recently as well. And
Mm,
I can see, but after I healed the part within me, I just started seeing things, that understanding why she's having has certain beliefs, and they come from her
mhm,
mother, right? So it's all the maternal energy happening like in a lineage of our family,
mhm.
because they're all like women, like the firstborn, like women, and she's got 7 siblings, but like she's one of the like
Wow.
oldest ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's I was like, I spoke to my mom, and she's aware of so many things, and we talk very openly about everything, and we're like, I was like, Mom, I believe like I came here to stop this
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
for continuing.
Yeah. 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 Wow. And you
Yeah,
can
she's
you can totally do that in
yeah,
reverse. Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Well, thank you so much for opening up about, not only your journey, but also like your whole family. I think a lot of people can relate to that. And um, yeah, it's just, like all of these unique circumstances and situations really can contribute and like
yeah,
make that journey more challenging, but also, more healing in a way. So yeah, beautiful. I want to I'm sort of like directing our conversation more towards the positive part, which is all about like, right, you experienced the burnout, you suddenly opened up and woke up, and now you're aware, and you're like, like you're talking about, healing and having conversations with your mom where you suddenly went vulnerable and told her about how you were, stop pretending that you were okay, ask for help and stuff like that. So um, maybe I think, what I find really valuable for people who are going through this process right now, and it's extremely hard, that's really the leap that everyone has to take. um, if you look back at the things that have really helped you at that point, perhaps tools or any kind of stuff that you did, and also things like how you're doing things today, because I know that you've been, like myself, optimizing your process of the recovery and management, and now becoming like a pro energy master. um, what would you pick like from that process, and like where you're at today, like what's the goodness, what's the stuff that has really helped you go through and is really working for you today as well?
it's ever changing, as I said, like we're
Mm-hmm.
optimizing a lot of it, but it's ever changing. But first, what our mutual friend Mishka, she actually introduced me to, well, my housemate actually was the first one to introduce me to plant-based diet and yoga and all of that stuff. She was a
Okay.
super hippie. And then, so the first yoga session I had with her, but then our mutual friend Mishka, she was like, yeah, I'm going to like I go to this awesome yoga place. So I started going there,
Hmm.
uh, and it was like I really enjoyed the time with her, because I really like, it was like girly time. It was like this kind of self-care, but it was like me discovering something new. And it would connect. We had kind of like a ritual happening every weekend, and I was like very inspired by her, that she was like went to yoga so many times. I was like, and took care of herself and like
Mm-hmm.
connected and like did all these things. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, I'm like constantly working, like I need more fun in my life. So
Awesome.
I started going there, and that's when I was introduced to meditation, because until then I thought it was super hard, that oh my god, like not thinking about anything, my brain is crazy. what? Come on. It's like,
I think
cancel.
everyone's there. Yeah.
So that's what I thought. And then I was like,
Talking
all
about
right.
achievements and successes, like, it's a pretty hard
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So, but then what was great about yoga, and I really liked our, what I said, I really, really liked our teacher, because she was like, she had such a like beautiful feminine energy. Like she was like, I was just like, oh my God, I was mesmerized by her. But like the way she was speaking and the way she was showing up, and she was so strong, but like so kind of like relaxed and like kind of like connected to herself, and was like strong and beautiful, and she just had such energy like around herself. So I was like, oh my God, like she's goals. I was like, oh, I want to be like her. And it was the essence that she was in her essence. So that was something that I didn't know before. She had completely, she was strong, but in a feminine way, not like masculine, like so, and she was like slow down and nurturing herself, like you know, connected. So I was really inspired by her. I was like, oh my God. So each time I was just like, girls, like, will I ever be like that? It was so great. So she was like, yeah, she was very inspiring. I loved her energy. So I was going there, and I really loved that, all of that, and how I was actually connecting, listening to my body, because I was paying attention to certain things. You have to pay attention, right, to all this, the way you hold yourself, the posture, the different muscles, and feeling into it and breathing. That breathing was like, oh, so this is, and then we had like this 10-minute meditation. So I was like, oh, so suddenly I started feeling sensation in my body that was like, it felt so good. I felt like I'm light, like I'm so light, that all this heaviness was like gone for a few minutes or hours. So and I went back to work. So it was, I started feeling light. And then I started exploring more and more and connecting to my body for different ways. So it was like meditation for different things. Started doing like these ones, which is funny. I've got them here. My oracle cards.
Yes. We played with those.
So many times, right? Because that is literally fairies, and no, this is not fairies, this is mermaids and dolphins. So it was like, started like when I was a kid, I had like this kind of like not tarot cards, but really it was like this magical kind of things, fairies, mermaids. I was connected to that as a child. So I was connecting back to my child, to like all of these things, right? And it was like so great. It was like this kind of energy, like, you know, it's like
I love
like,
those. Yeah, just bringing the playfulness into the like the pushy hard energy, right? Yeah, I'm already like spotting those things. Yeah, so you mentioned mindfulness and connecting to your body and the benefit of that, feeling more light. You mentioned, I would label it as a like a positive role model for you, the yoga teacher who you know observed and you liked what you saw, so you were curious about how can you get closer to that, and then the playfulness aspect, getting out of the survival and shifting towards the play. The other thing that you mentioned was around the nutrition, the diet. What was that all about?
Oh, it happened naturally. It was actually my mom brought it. Like she went to one of the kind of Chinese medicine doctor in our city, whatever that was, and he was like doing some tests, and she realized that she shouldn't be eating gluten and lactose. So we started it at home first.
That sounds very Asian.
Yeah. So we started doing that. She actually introduced it at home. I wasn't the one bringing veganism. She was like, brought this lactose-free, gluten-free diet, and I was like, okay, cool, because I was already vegetarian and pescatarian. And then I just like, and then I came to London, and as I said, like I had a friend that was like hippie, as you know, and she was like so like chilled out, and she was like super into plant-based, and she was creating her own recipes. She actually had a blog. Like she was like so knowledgeable, extremely smart. Right. It's funny because both her and Mishka are Aries, so like very like knowledgeable, strong energy. I was like, oh, I was learning so much from different, and I love learning. So awesome. That was something I started testing it out, and I felt so much better about myself and about treating myself differently, my body. So
yeah. And the diet, did that have any So that was more like mental, what you just mentioned, you know, like taking care of your diet with the knowledge that, you know, you're being healthy. Um, was there like a physical effect on your body as well? Was there anything that you could sort of recognize?
Yeah, I started feeling lighter. Like first, it was obviously transformation. It was like, God, like it felt like I don't have much energy or something, and I had like more spots. It was like inner detox kind of way, on a cleansing maybe. I don't know. It was like something was purging out of me. It was like changing my whole body, myself, was all everything was changing.
Mm-hmm.
But I started feeling excited about food because I really love food, but I kind of like having kind of connection to that, and I like started exploring new things. I was really excited. I remember going to all these like vegan places. So that was like the best
Mm-hmm.
fun, and that was for me actually to this day like still it's connected to self-care food. I just
Right,
love it.
right.
Really the ritual of it. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah, I love these, and I can definitely relate to many of those things as well. Yeah, totally. What I'm trying to do now in my mind is to connect the dots. So earlier you mentioned that the factors that contributed to you burning out most were
Mm-hmm.
your mindset, your belief systems, the environment that you were in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now you mentioned a couple of things that helped you to get out of the burnt out state.
Mm-hmm.
So how did these things that you just mentioned help you to change that mindset and those beliefs, and perhaps act differently in the environment that you were in? What has changed, or what was there anything else that would be worth mentioning? You know, like for example, you mentioned the boundaries, not being able to say no, or you mentioned the successes and achievements and always wanting to, you know, do everything. How did it all happen? Like, how come you're able to do it now and, you know, live your balanced life?
Um,
So yeah, sorry. I mean, like, because, you know, these things that you mentioned are important, like the diet,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that definitely lifts you up and
Mm.
really allows you to notice the energy shift, and, you know, takes the weight out or off your shoulders, and it's like, okay, now you can breathe again.
Mm.
So how are you going to do things? So how did you suddenly like recode your mind, and how did you just decide that, okay, I'm going to have boundaries today? But you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it didn't happen like with like straight away, of course. I was like process of this awakening, honestly. And for me, like as I said, like these cards, for example, that was like a way to connect to my soul, to
Okay.
like, so it was like the connection to God, to soul, to universe, to source, to me, to really like not just me as like identity,
Mm-hmm.
but like really like everything started falling down. It was like that
So
time when I was having
so
that was like,
would you be using the cards on a daily basis as a practice to
yeah.
kind of shift your mindset? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they were
Ah,
way for
okay.
me to communicate because I'm visual, right? I'm a visual artist. For me, I'm receive information um, from spirit, I would say, and God. Like basically, I'm
Mm-hmm.
very clairvoyant. So like all these gifts started kind of opening up. I started having visions and things like that, and like intuition started expressing itself through visuals for
Mm-hmm.
me. So that's why it's visual. Like I love visuals. I still use oracle cards, not these ones, but I have an app in my phone, and I do use it daily because sometimes I'm just like too busy in my mind. Like so it's like more about listening to me, to my soul, to my heart, and to connecting to the center, right? So I express myself visually, but I receive information visually. So that's why it was like I say, connection to intuition, to so when I meditate, it's really very visual. So yeah, I don't know if if I answered your question, but it's a process. It's like constantly transforming. It's like never ending. It's like even though I master certain things, I know there's so much more that I can like still show. So I'm still student. Like it's ever changing flow, and I'll constantly open up to new things. And this journey is like never ending. So but now I know that I'm capable of handling it all, not just handling it, but enjoying it. So it's much faster. But then it was much slower. The process was much slower. But more and more I was doing, connecting to myself, to God, to source, to my intuition, to my body, to myself as a whole, not just like to body and creativity and so on, but everything. And listening. So it was more about listening and asking questions, questioning everything. So I just started questioning everything, every single thing in my life. And that brought awareness. So it was also, journaling was great. I started writing so much, like wrote so much, but now I kind of like don't do it that much, but before I used to. So it was just like flow.
Beautiful. I have been muting myself because there is a bit of a madness going on around. You know, the dogs, the jungle, the bikes,
Wildness.
distractions,
Yeah.
just life, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I know that it's hard to pinpoint and to sort of like, you know, have a list of tools that, you know, you would use, but it's just
Yeah.
interesting to kind of watch you remember and um, think about those things that, you know, have been working for you and the sequence in which you have been sort of unpacking these. Because I feel like, you know, with this like particularly self-development space and personal development, which is, you know, where burnout falls into that category, often it's kind of oversimplified, and in also in that sense that it's like generalized and people are trying to find the recipe, whereas everyone is different. And when you
Yeah.
are talking about the visual stuff, you know, I am all about the body and the the movement. So yeah, for me that connection happens differently,
Mm.
but the result is very similar. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for describing that process, you know, how that works for you in your unique way. That's awesome. And I'm also
Yeah.
curious because you, so at the beginning of the call, you mentioned that, you know, how your day is potentially developing and, you know, like all this like flow. So what does that mean? Like, can you tell us more about that for people who are in the planning mindset and just
Mm.
to kind of like explain a little bit more, how are you even possible, how are you even able to, you know, to have a day that is not planned, and how are you able to get things done? And right, because that is the, we are still super ambitious and driven and committed and passionate and hardworking, um, but at the same time we want to really harness that energy
Yeah.
without becoming complacent with like, yes, we like to rest, but not too much, or like what is too much, you know, like finding this balance. So
Yeah. Yeah.
how does the day flow for you, and what are your go-to things that, you know, like for example, you're stuck, what do you do? You know, and you're supposed to have 3 calls today. I'm going to mute myself again because this doggy is having a lot of fun. But yeah, tell us more, like how do you do it at the moment?
Yeah, like I had 3 calls yesterday. I was doing coaching and I have 3 calls with my lovely clients, and it was really like in the between. I was like, so for example, Monday I released a first episode of our documentary, right? And this is like a huge thing because it's like every episode I as an ambitious person, I decided to make every episode 15 minutes long, which it's basically 1 hour together, and each week releasing one episode. And I was like, yeah, well, the whole process is changing. I try to have planned things, I try to have a structure, I try to have script and all these things. And I step back into my old self and I realized that, well, by my new self, it's like I just do things really extremely aligned. And the way I do it is like, first, if I'm not in a mode, it's kind of like, I'm not saying hard to explain it. It's I follow my feelings, right? So it's like all I feel into what feels right, what makes me feel joyful. Was like, yeah, it's feeling good, it's feeling joyful, it's like make me feel kind of like excited. Or so that's how I actually explain it to people as well. To my clients, it was like follow your joy. It was literally follow your joy, because there's so many things that like duties, and they can be actually fun, like doing taxes. Like that's what oh yeah, I forgot, today I'm doing my taxes. So I'm like, what I do is like when it's something like that, I actually combine things that are like playful, or I have things to look forward to. And also since I'm an artist, I listen to music that makes me feel good. So if I am doing something, some practice, like some work, something like as a work, I make myself feel good. So I've got things that make me feel good, like music, positive music, coffee, right? So like I'm like, yeah, like something that I like. So I treat myself and I combine these things. And it's funny because before I was like, I make sure that I'm feeling good and I'm feeling relaxed. If I'm not, I stop. Before I would keep going, and I did phantom anxiety kind of thing. So which is like you're basically working more because you're avoiding emotions and uncomfortable feelings inside of you that are rising up. So I did that all the time. So I would work and ignore that I'm feeling bad. So now it's different. I know that I cannot produce wonderful, amazing, and beautifully magical things, whatever it is, and be happy and fulfilled while I'm feeling tired or exhausted or mentally exhausted. So yesterday I was feeling that. So I had headache, and I was asking, so I was like, okay, I started questioning. I was like, okay, so what do you need? I started asking about it. What do you need in order to feel good? Like, or it's like, what feels good? What do I want to do right now? So I started like kind of like thinking, oh, I want to just sit on this like chair. It is like a swing chair that we have, and it's just really like peaceful. Like I want to listen to music. So I sat down for like 5 minutes and I started meditating a different way, listening to my favorite music that is like really like taking me to different, it's like make me feel so good and peaceful. So I did like a little things because I had a busy day, but in between I want to make sure that I bring to people and my clients like energy that is supportive. So it's like I'm giving them, but I had to fill my cup. So it's when I feel like I'm draining myself, that it's already coming to this place, I feel that. I feel inside of me. It's like, ugh, you know, it's like either I'm tired and I'm like overloaded with something, exhausted, or something that's coming through. Like I just feel it in my body. So I'm like, okay, I step back and I'm like, how can I fill my cup? Because I've got like this call and that. So I need to give out of my cup. So how can I fill it back? So it's constantly like listening and tuning into what feels right for me. And that is a flow. It's like listening. Am I full enough in order to give? Or do I need to give myself? And how can I give myself? How can I fill my cup? So that is for me self-love, self-care, like the number one thing.
Right.
And
what if 5 minutes before the call you still weren't there? What would you do? Or an hour before?
an hour before, I still had headache actually. And then but then it was gone. I didn't take any tablets or anything like that. It's just what I did. Oh yes, what I did was we went in a hot tub. My mom, she's like super like, yeah, let's enjoy life. Yeah, it's a hot tub. It's like, mom, I can't because we need to like create this alcohol code to prepare. She's like, no, just come. So we went into hot tub really, and it's wonderful. God bless Libra mom, because like I've got Libra mom, so it's really like about the balance and enjoying life. So I was like, okay, whatever. I was like, I need to trust myself that I'm ready enough, because I was. So it was great. Everything was wonderful, but it was just like my old mindset. So sometimes it's really healthy to have people around you to remind you of all these things and recognize that. So that's really important. She can always recognize it now. She already knows. Because we communicated, so she knows what things are happening. I know exactly about her as well. So I just enjoyed hot tub, water, and then I was walking barefoot on grass and like feeling into grass with each step, and that helped me to ground and just like release. I was enjoying the sun. I was literally just like enjoying sun, so connecting to nature, and I was like, perfect. It was great.
That sounds very different from having a headache in the office and just needing to suck it up and eating some biscuits and having another coffee or 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Being like, okay, let's power through this. This sounds sounds very different. Me too. Would you, okay, I guess my ultimate question is, would you cancel the call?
Depends. If I really felt like, God, like if this is, nah, I can't, I would cancel the call. I would say like, sorry, I'm not able to provide for you right now, because I'm not like feeling, and I want to support you in the best way, but I cannot right now. So let's reschedule it. I would definitely do that. Now I do. Before I wouldn't, but I'm all about results. I'm results focused, and great results focused, positive results focused. So I have that intention. I set always an intention, and when if I'm not able to meet that intention, I see what I can do in order to realign back. So it's about alignment. So when you said like that we're still hardworking, I actually, the Shaman Durek is saying this thing. It's like it's not hard work; it's work in alignment. We're alignment. So because we don't want to make it hard, we want to make it simple, easy, fun, enjoyable. So I started doing that because I used to say, "God, I work so hard," but I started saying like, "No, I'm in a flow. I'm in alignment." With my heart and with what is the divine, what is beautiful, because he said simplicity is divinity, and I can repeat it to myself because I can overcomplicate things that is unnecessary. So simplicity is divinity. I have it written down. I read myself of that a lot.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Thank you. Now comes my last question. I always look up like like I had some kind of guide there. Maybe I do.
I'm sure there is.
There's this like beautiful pink bush tree plant. And for me, that means valley. It's so wonderful. And it is very much connected to my last question. My last question is about all the positive effects of burnout, because I imagine, like when I look at this plant, it's like, it's just wonderful. It's a blessing. It's like something you're grateful for, something that's, beautiful in your life. And ultimately, yes, we are totally reframing what burnout means and what it can deliver. And I really want to thank you for this and appreciate you for reframing the hard work and working hard, because I've been thinking a lot yesterday actually about boundaries and the division between work and life, and this term of a work-life balance, because if we are putting work and life into this opposing concepts, then we will never lose the negative connotation that we have attached to the word work. And working hard still has, a very similar connotation that is like, you gotta power through, suck it up and push through. Whereas what we're really talking about here is doing the most natural thing that there is to you and calling that work. So when I say the word work, for me, that's that. It's really just acting from your power source, right? And working hard for me, I actually caught myself today, before the day even started, and I was working in my mind. I was already thinking about stuff, that I want to get done, but it wouldn't classify as work. For some people, it's just life. And for me, it's so blended now that honestly, like the working, like with my laptop, having it in front of me and typing some stuff, maybe I do 3-4 hours per day or so. And then I don't want to do any more of that, because that's just mechanical. And, I'm like creating something, writing some emails, but the rest of the work happens somehow. It's like throughout life and throughout living and having all these experiences. And I still classify even, I had a 2-hour conversation with a friend of mine who went to watch waves in the middle of a working day. Oh my God, like, who does that? But we ended up having very much of like a work related conversation. So what is work and what is life? And, where do you, I think for me, this is one of the benefits of, and the learnings from the burnout that I would definitely want to mention. So I was going to give you this question, which is, now I'm coming to the actual question. What has been the blessing of a burnout for you? What is like the ultimate learning or the superpower that, you have acquired through this process that is worth mentioning?
What comes to me is balance. Because like I got to know myself like so much more in what works and what doesn't. And not just like that, it's like listening to myself. Like that is huge, because I am such a logical and analytical, like I would say I'm such a, like my brain, it's wonderfully and logical and analytical, but there is a part of me, it's like there's one of my favorite writers, Tom Kenyon, who channeled Magdalene manuscript, and he's got like two parts in him. The one is like the alchemist, like this connection to spirit and channeling beautiful messages and creativity and so on, kind of alchemist. And the other one is scientist. It's like the logical, and it's finding like the actual logical explanation for all the spiritual things that are happening. So he's got these two parts in him, and it's like saying that they kind of collaborate, but it's like really interesting to see that happen. And I could really connect to that because yes, I would like this really, it's like, yes, I'm in a flow, but at the same time I can be like really like just focused and practical and just like go and achieve those things because I need to be grounded. So it's just like changing. It's like this masculine feminine energy is like in a dance together inside of me. Wow, that sounds lovely. But it's really like that. It's like the practical, grounded, like Capricorn, like freaking 6 Capricorns in my chart with this beautiful Libra, rising Libra moon. Is like, let's enjoy life. Like my mom was like, let's enjoy life. Let's create. Let's like connect to our senses. Let's just connect to the sphinx. Like, feels so good.
Where did that come from? That's awesome.
That's my curtain.
It's your prop.
It's my prop. I was just touching it. I was like, I feel. It's like all this like nature here, like that.
Show us some unicorns. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So it's like literally I have like love yourself sign here with like tiny fairy lights, unicorn, like this kind of like stuff. That's like
nice.
This is my workplace, by the way. This is
I love that. Hell
this
yes.
is my workplace, by the way. This is like everything is like
amazing.
pink and yeah, so it's my workplace and spiritual kind of practice place is there. So it's like bottom place, but it's really like I've got these reminders. So I'm working and then I'm thinking, but I look at something that connects me back to my soul, to my creativity. So balance, definitely connection to my spirit, to soul, to heart, and like finding that joy, the inner child, freeing my inner child, her. Because I kind of imprisoned her, I did imprison her, and through that healing and through what I've done, like it's like she comes up way more, and she's present. People actually think that I'm 8 years younger, which is funny because before you were like I would have energy of 40-year-old woman at the age of 20, and now people think I'm 16. Like honestly, the time is like, are you 18? Have you been 18?
You are reverse aging for sure. You are. Yeah.
Oh, that is the inner child. That is literally the inner child. So. That is the blessing for me, really, like
those are there's just some awesome learnings. Thank you for sharing all of this. It's such a powerful conversation. I think a lot of people will definitely relate and find some beautiful value in this, and hopefully some support for themselves.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to mention one more thing. That's like when you were saying that when you actually, the ideas come to you and you're like working, even when you're just in life, what came to me in terms of playfulness, I'm very grateful for my brother for awakening more of that playfulness, because and doing projects with him actually connect me to playfulness. I'm very inspired by him because he doesn't think about when he's creating. He's just in a flow. And that's how I'm actually creating now, way more. And he's got the most amazing influence on me. So because I let go of the role of being his mom, and I'm equal partner. We're friends, we're equal partners in a business as well. I'm not like patronizing him. He's turning 18, and because that was like the old mindset, and now like he's like my older brother. So funny because he's not, but sometimes it looks like that. And I'm like this tiny girl. He holds me like he's like protector, but at the same time, like we have support system in each other. And it's equal, so it's balanced, and that's the harmony, and that's for me really important. And when I play football with him, for example, so we like have game time, I have so many ideas for content for our business. So it's so I just want to say is like like we do fun stuff, and that's where all the ideas come. That great. So
brilliant. It makes me happy, also because it really validates my approach to what effective work life looks like. or life
Yeah.
looks like, where you connect and disconnect, focus and diffuse, and create, like, allow yourself that space where things emerge, because they're all in there. Many
Yeah.
times we're looking for things around us, but they just need emerging. So the
Yeah.
body is like such a good mechanism, you know, it's our tool to get those things out there. So yes, playing football. And I know that your brother has been teaching you a lot, and you know, I
Yeah.
also really admire your capacity, your ability to notice and to learn from him and to see him as a teacher, and the people around you as well. I think, you know, just having that gratitude, and instead of, you know, like a lot of people, again, this is about how you position your kind of thinking and what you focus on. A lot of people would see that as an inhibition, or, you know, like, oh, like he's got some kind of deficiency. But no, you went in there and you're like, he's a fucking guru, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm learning here from this guy.
So
And he
much.
doesn't say a word, and he's just there making sounds and engages like with activities. So yeah, like really kudos to you for picking up those things. And yeah, I really want to appreciate you for just taking all of this wisdom and your own journey and what you have around you, like within your environment, and bringing that into the world. Because, you know, that's what I think is true creation and true art and true invention. And yeah, some badass also entrepreneurial energy, which you're blooming into right now. And so yeah, fingers crossed for feeling good in that as well, and making
Yeah.
all this happen. It's all happening. So
Yeah. 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 It's
thank you so
happening.
so much. Thank you for bringing
Yeah.
all of this into the world. It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
And for taking time to talk and again open
Yeah.
up and share.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sister.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you soon. Bye.
Yes. Bye.